Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hello Redlow podcast. I'm your host, Terry Mullen, and I'm so happy you're here. If you're new here, welcome. Redlow is older spelled backwards. I'm older, and perhaps you are too. Or perhaps you're just a little bit curious about who I am and what I have to say. I show up here each week talking about all things like navigating life transitions, overcoming hard things, and rediscovering who we are now in this season of life. I do solo episodes, and I bring on a few of my friends, other amazing women who are stepping forward with their lives, starting businesses, and overcoming their own hard things. We all have a story to tell, so sit back and listen in. Have you ever had a moment or an experience in your life that changed you? Have you ever failed at something and allowed that failure to define you and affect you for many years? You felt small, inadequate, unqualified, and you carried that shame for far too long. I understand, because I have been in that place. I have been that person. But then, have you ever had that failure or disappointment turn into something good, that later in your life it was used to help others? Well, I've been in that place too, and I hope you have too. That's the purpose of this podcast here today. Just because your past didn't turn out the way you wanted or the way you thought it should, doesn't mean your future can't be better than you ever imagined. Recently, I was asked to speak to a group of higher level college students at a small local college near me, State University San Bernadino. They're studying middle adulthood. And since I am that age demographic and wrote my book, Step Forward, which is about how to navigate life transitions, overcome hard things, and rediscover yourself, I was asked to be a guest and to share my journey. I was so excited about this opportunity and a little bit nervous too, to be honest. I pondered what I was going to share. I was given some parameters to share about my journey through midlife and what it had meant to me. But I also wanted to share a little bit about who I am and how I arrived at this place today. And I wanted to use some of the stories from my book, how I stepped into those metaphorical shoes in order to step forward with my life. I was also given a heads up and knew that the class was a mixture, full of some traditional students as well as those who were not. Some of them were older, some were married with children. Oh, wow, that excited me. I arrived and I started by telling them how proud I was of each one of them for sitting in those seats and being present in this classroom. I told them that I understood the sacrifices that they were all making to be here and how much they inspired me. I also told them that I understood how hard it was to balance school, work, and relationships, and whether they were just getting started on their college journey or returning to college to fulfill their dreams and goals, it was a commitment and one I greatly admired and respected. And nothing worthwhile comes easy, right? It takes work. It takes dedication, commitment, tenacity, resilience, and sacrifice. I encouraged them and told them that they were giving up something now in this present moment in order to gain something far more valuable for their future. A set of skills, knowledge, learning a lot about themselves, being stretched and challenged, and in the end, they would gain a degree that would help them step forward with their lives and help others in their chosen profession. I also told them that I too had walked in similar shoes and sat in very similar seats. I remember spending many hours taking notes and studying and writing papers and preparing for tests and dreaming about my future. Back then, it was to become a doctor and help others. But I went on to share my road to college was very messy. It took a pretty hard left turn. I was a really good student, but life threw me some curveballs. My parents had divorced in my very pivotal years of preparing to go to college, and it was really hard on me. Despite it all, I did choose to go to college, and on one hot summer day back in 1982, I loaded up my silver Mustang and drove alone to college. A college I had never even stepped foot on. It was one that I just thought I should go to. I'd been accepted to many colleges, but this is the one I chose, and not for all college reasons. And I share this story in my book called Feeling Unqualified. But I remember arriving on that campus thinking, oh dear God, what was I thinking? In the midst of my own stress and anxiety and navigating my parents' divorce, I had a full-blown eating disorder. I was bulimic. And I asked the classroom if any of them could relate to my story, and many raised their hands. I shared that despite taking 18 hours my first semester, another huge mistake, I did very well academically, but emotionally I was not doing well. And one day I got back in that same silver Mustang that got me to college and headed back west to Malibu, California. I left with the intention of never returning. I gave up. I quit. And I carried that regret and shame and feeling unqualified for many years. I felt like I disappointed myself and those I love, especially my grandfather. But I told them as I stood before them on this very day, looking back, leaving college was not the end of my story. It was just a different chapter. And I have learned a lot outside that classroom. Life has taught me a lot. I went to the school of hard knocks, I say. I learned courage and resilience and tenacity and how to be an entrepreneur. And most importantly, I learned the importance of following your dreams, no matter your circumstances or your age. And I was there to inspire them, to encourage them, and to remind them to keep stepping forward, even when life got hard. I shared that after my college debacle, I went on to become a very successful entrepreneur. That was my family background. I became a very successful hairstylist in Los Angeles with a lucrative career for many years. And I also share that in my book as well. But fast forward to today, I am the proud mom of 4 amazing adult children who are thriving and independent, and they all have their college degree. And I'm so proud of that. I am proud of each one of them. I've also been married for 34 years, and we've experienced amazing success and incredible failure. And so, for me, being back on a college campus was not only ironic, but it was also a beautiful and healing full circle gift. As T.D. Jakes says, a setback is a setup for a comeback. For me, for so long, I felt unqualified. I did not feel smart. I felt like I had failed. And yet, who knew one day that I would be the one on the other side, speaking to a room full of beautiful, bright, curious, and ambitious college students. And I stood before them, inspiring and empowering each one of them. I told them that today I am an author, a best-selling author on Amazon. I published my first book at the age of 59, and I'm so proud of that achievement. I told them I also host a podcast and I coach women. I'm extremely passionate about empowering other women to help them take courageous steps forward, to find their voice, and pursue their goals and dreams, no matter their age. I believe it's never too late. And whether that's returning to college or writing a book or starting a podcast or starting a business or finding your voice to speak and share your story like I was doing on that particular day, never give up. Never give up on yourself. Never listen to the naysayers. Continue to step forward and surround yourself with people who believe in you. Even when life is hard, keep stepping forward and do not give in to that doubt, that fear, uncertainty, or feeling alone. Trust your journey. Trust the steps that you have in front of you because the world needs you and you deserve to be here. You deserve to be sitting in these seats, and those of you listening in on the podcast deserve to be here as well. I went on to talk about midlife since that's why I was asked to be there. I asked them, what is it anyway? Psychology Today says that it's the time between young adulthood and old age. Well, wow, what does that mean? That seems like a wide range, right? By definition, it's the ages of 40 to 65. Wow, that spans 25 years. That's 2.5 decades. And in this season, people undergo significant changes in their life, in their relationships, in their jobs, and in their health. And yet, the middle years, this middle age, is not clearly defined nor well understood, which is why I call it the messy middle. And the truth is, I've never really thought that much about my age until this year, until I turned 60. I definitely feel younger than I am, and I've never put a number on age. But now I think about what matters most to me, what my next purpose is, what my real purpose is, what God has planned for my life, and what legacy I am leaving behind. I want to live a life of significance and share my journey through this life, my experience, all the success and failures I've experienced, so that others can learn from all the mistakes I have made. Often we hear terms like midlife crisis when we talk about midlife. But I love what Brené Brown says. She says it is not a crisis, but rather an unraveling. Interesting term, right? I love it. Unravel is to resolve, disentangle, take apart, undo. She goes on to say that many scholars have proposed that the struggle at midlife is about the fear that comes with our first true glimpse of our own mortality. She says that midlife is not about the fear of death, but rather of tearing down the walls that we have spent our entire life building. Now that is interesting. So I ask you the question, is midlife a struggle? Is it a crisis? Or is it a place of empowerment and deep personal growth? Or is it a combination of all of it? Something to think about, right? I've also heard this season of life described as a season of fall. And I actually did a podcast episode on this very topic about the different seasons of our life and the different ages that those seasons represent. But this season is a great time of harvest. It's a time we reap, a time of impact, time of taking charge of our life, a time of unwinding some relationships and our career. So let's go a little bit deeper. For me, it has definitely been an unwinding, a season of rebirth and rediscovery. The well-known Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung describes it as a pivotal phase of reevaluating one's life. He says that many individuals encounter feelings of restlessness, questioning their achievements, their relationships, and their true purpose. He says that this stage often leads to a period of self-reflection and self-exploration. Jung goes on to say that the passage into midlife is not a negative experience. It's an opportunity for growth and transformation. It's a time that we take stock of our lives, we confront our mortality, and we make important decisions about our future. He goes on to say that some find it a turning point that leads to personal development and the pursuit of happiness. It's that search for the deeper meaning in life. And I have found that my midlife journey has been much like this. It's been about rediscovering myself, finding deeper meaning for my life, God's purpose for my life, and really rediscovering who I really am at my core. It's been a whole lot of what Brené Brown describes as that unraveling, undoing, disentangling, and resolving old thought patterns. In my book, I share that I was stepping into those metaphorical battle boots and wading through all those limiting beliefs that I had, that doubt, fear, worry, guilt, shame, and feeling not enough and not qualified. For me, it was time to cut the cord and disentangle that messy web of lies that I had believed for so long. It was time to let go of all of that kept me wound so tight and stuck for so long. It was time to start with a new mindset. And so I did. I decided to lace up, buckle up, and step forward and walk through that messy mess. It was time to grow. As author Margie Worrell says, growth and comfort can't ride the same horse. And for me, I found it was time to step into those courageous cowboy boots, put one foot in that stirrup, and climb up on that horse, stretch my arms out wide, and ride like the wind, as my grandfather said, ride towards that wide open field of opportunity that was waiting for me, and to see my potential. And I say the same to you. Step into those courageous cowboy boots. Take that courageous step forward. Take that risk. Put your foot in that stirrup and climb up on that horse and ride like the wind. Stretch your arms out wide and embrace the opportunity that lies ahead in that wide open field. Your potential and your purpose is waiting for you there. Ride towards it and grab hold of it. And so, what I have learned for me is that midlife has been about letting go of who I thought I was or who others thought I should be, and stepping into who I'm becoming, who I'm meant to be, and who I am really at my core. It has been about finding my voice, believing in my abilities, believing in who I am apart from being a mom, a wife, a sister, and a friend. It's been about rediscovering myself and believing that I am qualified, that I am smart, that I can reinvent myself, that I can start again, and that I can pivot and lean into what's next. There's magic in this. Yes, there's incredible magic in this age and in starting again and taking all that we have learned to empower others. And for you here today, I applaud you. And as I shared with the students, I applaud them for sitting in this room, for being here today and listening to me, for stepping forward with your life. And I applaud those of you listening in on this podcast today. Because it's not easy, is it? It's not easy to step forward with our lives, to go after our dreams, to pivot and change and shift. And maybe you were like me back then. Maybe you're the first to go to college. Maybe you're the first to become an entrepreneur. Maybe you're the first to write a book. Maybe you're the first to start a podcast or return to speak to a group of college students when you yourself had dropped out of college. I encouraged them, as I encourage each one of you today, to step into those courageous cowboy boots. Find that courage that lives deep inside of you and step forward with your life. Do the hard and scary things. I also encourage you to step into those tenacious tennis shoes. Don't quit. Tenacity is digging deep within you and finding that grit and that determination. It's persevering and not giving up, especially when things are hard. It's stepping forward and taking that courageous action. It's doing what it takes to achieve what you want to achieve. And as Amelia Earhart says, the most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. It's stepping into those battle boots and identifying your limiting beliefs and stepping beyond them, stepping beyond that fear and doubt and worry and believing that you're not qualified or that you're not good enough or smart enough. I also told them it's stepping into those self-care slippers and taking care of themselves. It's taken me 60 years to learn how to really take care of myself. I have learned it's vital, and the profession that they have chosen, it is definitely vital. It was fascinating. The students actually were very engaged and they asked me so many questions, and I will share that on the next podcast. And for me, when I'm doing something really important, I wear my sparkly red shoes that symbolize my ruby slippers. On the cover of my book, I have these silver sparkly shoes that at the time, that's what they represented as well. But my red shoes are really special. I told them I wear them regularly when I'm doing really important things, like being in front of them on this day, because they remind me, as Glinda reminded Dorothy, you have always had the power, my dear. You just had to learn it for yourself. And I say that to each one of you. And I told them that of all the shoes that I describe in my book, the ruby slippers are my favorite, because they really remind me who I am. I connect with them most. And as I remind myself, I am reminding them, and I remind you listening on the other end of this microphone. You are smart. You have a brain in your head. You have done really hard things, and you have overcome them. You've solved a lot of problems. You are courageous, and you are brave. You have far more courage and strength than you ever knew. And you have an empathetic heart. You care about others, or else you wouldn't be here in this classroom pursuing a profession that you're pursuing. And what a gift that is. You have a calling on your life to make a difference and have an impact on others. And the world needs a whole lot more of empathetic, caring, and kind people. And in closing, I will share the 5 things I want to leave you with about turning pain into purpose. And that very thing that we thought we made a mess of, God can use for our greater good and turn it into a purpose later in life. Number 1, embrace your voice. My biggest regret from my younger years is staying silent or keeping silent and not using my voice. For so long, I didn't even share my true opinions or feelings because for most of my life, I was told it didn't matter. Just be quiet. Just get over it. And what I have learned is that pain and trauma can leave us feeling silenced and keep us silent. But I want to encourage you to use it as fuel to ignite you to discover the power of your voice. Your voice has power. It has a purpose. And I want to encourage you to use your voice and your experiences to speak up for yourself and for others. And share your stories and your opinions and your ideas. They matter. The world needs your wonderful, unique, and authentic self and your perspective and all the experience that you've had in your life. Others can learn from you. Number 2, failure is fertilizer. Let's face it, we've all experienced failure in our life in one way or another, right? We don't get to this season of life without having it. But instead of letting failure define you, see it as fertilizer for growth. You are not the failure. It's just the experience that failed. And every mistake you make is just a learning opportunity. It's a way of gathering data and analyzing what went wrong. And to be able to pick yourself up and use that knowledge to do things differently or better next time, right? Whatever that is. We really can gain so much from those things that didn't work out, Sometimes we learn even more. Number 3, fear is a liar. Wow, haven't I learned that the hard way? We all have fears, right? Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown, and fear of speaking. Today, speaking is still the number one fear that most people have. But letting that fear hold you back just keeps you stuck. It keeps you from stepping into your real purpose. And instead of allowing that fear to control you, acknowledge it, identify it, see it, name it, and then take that courageous step forward anyway. We have to face our greatest fears in order to step into our greatest potential. And you just might be surprised how strong you really are. I believe your soul is fierce, your heart is brave, and your mind is strong. Number 4, it's never too late. I left college all those years ago, convinced that I was a failure, that my opportunity for success had passed, that I had disappointed myself, that I had really let myself down and all those that I loved. But here I am today, living proof that that is absolutely not true. If I can write a book at 59, so can you. There's no age limit on learning or pursuing your dreams or writing a book or starting a podcast or speaking, right? There's no limit to making a difference in the lives of others. And the right time to start is when you decide to step forward and do it. Remember, the best time to start was yesterday, and the next best time is today. And finally, number 5, find your tribe. Life is a journey, and it's a whole lot easier when you're surrounded by supportive people. Find your mentors, those who see more in you than you see in yourself, and those who have already gone before you. Build relationships with like-minded women, and connect with those who empower you and lift you up, those who pour positive things into your life, not the naysayers. Have a strong support system that allows you to share your struggles, celebrate your wins and your victories, and find the courage to keep stepping forward. And if you need support, I would love to help you. I do one-on-one coaching if you're not quite sure what's next or you're trying to figure it out. I will share here how you can connect with me on DM or email, and we can just have a conversation and see if it's a good fit. But for those of you who are a little bit further ahead and you're already an entrepreneur, but you're just struggling with the confidence to show up and speak on camera or on video, or you want to speak in front of others, but it makes you nervous, I have definitely learned how to do this. I love it. It just lights me up. And my journey, as I've shared, has been finding my voice. So my next Speak course actually starts April 4th. It is my group coaching. We meet once a week for 6 weeks for 90 minutes on Zoom, and it is so much fun. Speak is actually an acronym, and I go through that. We start right where you are with mindset and confidence. P is the power of you. We talk about being authentically you. E is discussing equipment essentials, what I use for my podcast, for speaking on a microphone, my lighting, and how to do videos and edit, all that. A is the act of storytelling. How do you share a story on a video or on a podcast or when you're speaking? And I actually bring in a guest speaker for that. She's amazing and gives a great format for how to do it. And then K is crafting your content. How does your ideal client find you and you find them? Well, you have to use search engine optimization, and I share how we dive into that. And then I do a bonus episode on how to start a podcast. It's so much fun. It just lights me up, and I'd love to help you. So I will include all the links here in the show notes, so just click on it. And when you click on the link for Speak, be sure to enter REDLOW as a discount code, so you will get a discount for listening in here on the podcast. And I'd love to have you. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate in reaching out. I'd love to just help you step forward and gain the confidence that you need to continue to grow in your business. Know that you are seen, you are heard, you are loved, you are valued, and you belong. Until we meet again, keep stepping forward, and may God continue to bless you.